Waking up every night to use the bathroom might seem harmless. It's not, because what's causing it could be getting worse every single day. And some men don't realize this until it becomes permanent. And the most dangerous part is, you won't feel it happening at first, because this doesn't start when the symptoms show up. It starts years earlier, quietly, every time you eat. Not testosterone, not just aging, and not what most people think. There's a signal inside your body that can slowly force your prostate to grow without you ever noticing. And once that signal starts repeating, it doesn't stop on its own. Until one day, your nights change. You wake up once, then twice, then 3 times. Your sleep is broken. Your energy starts to drop. You feel tired during the day, even after a full night in bed. Your focus slips. Your mood changes. And slowly, this becomes your new normal. But here's the problem. Your body is not failing. It's responding. Responding to something you're doing over and over again. So what's actually happening inside you? Your prostate isn't randomly growing. It's being told to grow over and over and over again by a signal, one of the most powerful signals in your entire body. But before we name it, you need to understand what it does, because this is where it turns into something serious. This signal doesn't just affect your blood sugar, controls growth, tells your body when to build, when to store, when to expand. And when that signal is triggered too often, your body doesn't question it. It obeys. Now imagine this. Every time that signal is activated, your body gets a message. Grow. Not just muscle, not just fat. Cells. Your cells multiply. They expand. They increase in number and size. Now imagine that happening multiple times a day, every day, for years. That's how this begins. Slow, silent, unnoticed. More cells, bigger cells, more pressure, until eventually that pressure builds up inside your prostate, and it has nowhere to go except inward, against your urinary tract. And that's when everything changes. Your flow weakens. You feel like you haven't fully emptied. You start going more often, and your nights are no longer restful. But here's what makes this dangerous. By the time you notice it, it's already been building for years. That's why it feels sudden. But it's not. It's the result of something repeated thousands of times. And this is where most people get it completely wrong. They blame testosterone. They blame getting older. They blame genetics. But if testosterone was the cause, young men would be suffering the most. They're not. So what's really behind it? It's insulin. And this is where everything changes. Because insulin isn't just about sugar. It's a signal, a growth signal, one of the strongest in your body. And every time it spikes, your body hears one instruction: grow. Now stop and think about this for a second. How many times a day do you eat? 2 meals? 3 meals? Snacks in between? Every time insulin spikes, that signal is sent again, and again, and again. Your body doesn't know you don't want your prostate growing. It only knows the signal you keep sending. And over time, it listens. That's how this problem builds. Not in a day, not in a week, but through repetition. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because the biggest triggers are things most people eat every single day. The obvious one is sugar. But the real danger is that sugar hides everywhere. In drinks, in snacks, even in foods marketed as healthy. Your body doesn't care where it comes from. Once it hits your system, insulin spikes, and that signal turns on. But it gets worse, because the foods people think are safe are often just as powerful. Bread, rice, they don't taste sweet, but inside your body, they break down into sugar almost instantly. Which means the same spike, the same signal, the same long-term effect. And then there are the hidden triggers, the ones no one talks about. Soy, which can quietly shift your hormone balance over time. Seed oils, which drive inflammation deep inside your body. including your prostate, and even certain types of dairy that don't behave the way most people expect. So now you start to see the pattern. This isn't random. It's a system, a cycle. And if you don't break it, it keeps running. Day after day, meal after meal, year after year. So what happens when you finally interrupt that cycle? This is where things begin to change. When you reduce the foods that spike insulin, that constant grow signal begins to fade. Not instantly, but steadily. The pressure starts to ease. Your body is no longer being pushed to grow something it doesn't need. And then something even more powerful happens when you stop eating for a period of time. Fasting. Because when you're not constantly feeding your body, insulin drops back to normal. And for the first time in a long time, that signal turns off. Your body finally gets a break. That constant push stops. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. This isn't a quick fix, because this didn't happen overnight. It took years to build. Years of repeated signals. Years of telling your body to grow. So reversing it takes time. Months. Sometimes longer. And yes, there are medications. They can help you feel better. They can reduce symptoms. But they don't stop what's causing it. They don't silence the signal. They just manage what you feel, while the root problem continues underneath. And that's why so many people stay stuck, treating symptoms instead of stopping the cause. There are supplements too. Some people notice small improvements. Others feel nothing, because they're not fixing the core issue, the signal. And once you understand that, everything becomes clear. This isn't random. Your body isn't failing you. It's responding. Responding to what you repeatedly give it. Every single day. So if there's one thing you take from this, make it this. Your prostate isn't the problem. The signal is. And if you don't change the signal, nothing else truly changes. And most men won't realize this until the damage is already done.